Before Valencia had walls, bells, and ports, the Turia crossed an open plain of reeds. This place would be called Valentia, then Balansiya, then Valencia again through time. Stay with us now. This is 1,000 years of Valencia in 15 cinematic minutes. The river bent toward the sea, and wind moved softly through marsh and fertile earth. Long before emirs or kings, this coast already invited settlement, farming, and trade. Rome founded Valentia here in 138 BC, fixing stone, law, and rank beside the river. Roman Valentia sat on a strategic corridor, linking coast, river plain, and inland routes. Roads tied the colony to Hispania, while baths and forums projected Roman confidence. Markets formed, walls thickened, and geography began shaping the city's long future. After Rome weakened, Visigoth rulers inherited a place already marked by empire. But the deepest change arrived in the early 8th century with Islamic conquest. Muslim rulers took the city, and Valentia became Balansiya within the world of Al-Andalus. Power changed, but the true revolution came through water, land, and cultivation. Engineers expanded irrigation across the Huerta, the rich plain around the city. Canals fed orchards of figs, mulberries, citrus, and carefully shaded garden plots. Water wheels turned, mills worked, and the countryside nourished a richer urban life. Balansiya grew behind its walls with mosques, baths, workshops, and busy markets. The city became famous for ordered gardens, productive fields, and the discipline of water. Its streets linked inland farms to Mediterranean routes and the wider Islamic world. Scholars, judges, craftsmen, and merchants gave the city discipline, texture, and grace. Courtyards stayed cool under shade, while storehouses filled with oil, grain, and cloth. Valencia learned early that survival meant balancing land, water, belief, and trade. But frontier cities rarely keep their wealth in peace for very long in medieval Iberia. Riches drew rivals, and rivals kept returning with armies, tribute demands, and sieges. In the 11th century, Al-Andalus fractured into fiercely competing taifa kingdoms. Valencia became the seat of its own taifa, brilliant in culture, yet dangerously exposed. Balansiya glittered, but taifa brilliance often stood on politically fragile ground. This was a city of poets and soldiers, silk and steel, refinement, fear and anxiety. Rulers bargained, paid tribute, and watched borders shift with unnerving, violent speed. Then Rodrigo Diaz de Vivar arrived, the warrior later mythologized across Spain as El Cid. In 1094, after siege and struggle, he captured Valencia and entered its gates in triumph. For a brief time, the city became a Christian principality under his personal command. Yet even conquest could not make Valencia a simple story of total replacement. Its irrigation, markets, and habits still carried the memory and logic of Al-Andalus. El Cid died in 1099, and the order he built began loosening almost at once afterward. By 1102, Muslim forces retook the city, and Balansiya returned to Islamic rule again. Valencia had changed masters, but its deeper gift was endurance through adaptation. That talent would define the city again and again through every later upheaval it faced. Christian kingdoms kept pressing south, and Valencia stood directly before that advance. The Crown of Aragon wanted ports, farmland, taxes, ships, and maritime prestige. Valencia offered all of them, and therefore could not escape becoming a coveted prize. In 1238, James I of Aragon besieged the city and forced its final surrender. On 9th of October, he entered Valencia and fixed it firmly inside a new Christian order. The city became the capital of the Kingdom of Valencia within the Crown of Aragon. Mosques were converted, new laws arrived, and the balance of power changed for good. New charters organized Christian rule, yet older labor and older landscapes endured. But Valencia was not reborn from emptiness. It was layered, absorbed, and reworked. Muslims, Jews, and Christians all remained part of its social and economic fabric. Arabic irrigation systems still fed the orchards stretching beyond the city walls. Merchants still looked to the sea, because the sea had always defined Valencia's horizon. Gothic churches rose above older foundations, and new rulers inhabited older space. Valencia now served a Christian monarchy, yet it still breathed in older rhythms. That mixture became one of the city's strengths and one of its permanent tensions. By the 15th century, Valencia entered one of the brightest ages in its history. Population grew, wealth deepened, and the city became a Mediterranean commercial power. In these years, Valencia rivaled major Mediterranean centers in wealth and ambition. Silk, ceramics, grain, paper, and textiles moved through markets and counting houses. Bankers financed voyages, artisans refined luxury goods, and ships linked Valencia abroad. Prosperity hardened into architecture, because ambitious cities always build in stone. Between 1482 and 1533, La Lonja de la Seda rose beside the mercantile center. The silk exchange was more than a hall for deals. It was civic self-belief in stone. Inside, spiral columns climb like stone palms, making commerce feel almost sacred. Contracts were signed there, debts recorded, fortunes made, and reputations broken. The building still declares what Valencia once believed about itself without apology. Trade could be noble, beauty could serve money, and wealth could become identity. This was Valencia in full confidence, fluent in business, image, ceremony, and sea power. The city also became an early printing center for the entire Iberian Peninsula. The first printing press in the Iberian Peninsula appeared here in the 15th century. Ideas traveled here with merchants, and language moved almost as fast as silk itself. Churches, convents, palaces, and guild halls multiplied across the urban fabric. Valencia seemed built for permanence, and that illusion is always most fragile in history. Great cities often look safest at the exact moment danger begins entering their future. The 16th century brought economic strain that prosperity alone could not repel. Social tension deepened beneath facades still glowing with earlier confidence and wealth. One deep wound came with the expulsion of the Moriscos from Valencian society and labor. They formed a large share of labor across farms, workshops, and local production. Their removal damaged agriculture, industry, and the wider circulation of prosperity. A city can survive lost battles. Losing skilled communities cuts far more deeply. Prosperity narrowed, and the memory of the Golden Age became a painful comparison. Valencia remained important, but the pulse of expansion no longer beat as before. Its monuments still spoke of greatness, even when the economy grew harsher and uneven. Then dynastic war shook Spain and redrew the political order surrounding Valencia. During the War of the Spanish Succession, old constitutional balances collapsed. After Bourbon victory, Valencia lost traditional institutions and much of its autonomy. Centralization pulled authority outward, even as local identity held below the surface.